Hi, this is Paul Carlson, CPA with AE Velocity. In this video, we're going to look at the project backlog report within Ajera. So to run the report, we go main menu, project backlog, click here. I have this window size, so we'll just jump over here. So what we're looking at is a list of all of the projects and some calculations on total contract amount and backlog months. So when reading the report, contract column is all the contracts in place. Total billed is the amount we have already billed against those contracts. I always look for an additional column here where I would say how much is remaining. Well, that remaining amount is the backlog column in the last month on the report. That if we do 813 minus 392 gives us the 420 backlog as of August 2016. The other value to look for in reading this report is it tells us total backlog in months. Now what the report does is it takes the current backlog number and it divides it by the average billed amount for the last 3 months. And the logic is, if we've billed that amount for the last 3 months, then we're going to bill that average in the future months. And using that calculation, Ajera is telling us that we have 5 months of contracts in place to keep the team busy. And that's one of the key logic pieces we use the report for, is to understand, do we have enough contracts in place to keep our team busy? And do we have enough contracts in place to meet revenue goals? So let's drill into some of the details on the report and a couple of key items to watch for. So first, Ajera always has the good stuff behind the blue plus sign. The report can be filtered by project status. So in this status, we're looking at all projects except projects that are closed. So we're seeing active projects, work hold projects, billing hold projects. Just be aware of exactly which filter is in place when you're reading the report. And that filter status is here under exclude closed. So let's move on to some of the concerns or kind of things where this report can lead you wrong. So one, the logic behind the backlog in months is it assumes that all contracts are available to bill right away. That we have backlog of $143,000 on this project. Well, it could be that we can't start working on this available contract amount until next year. So even though it shows we have this backlog, we can't touch it for the next year, so it's not useful for making next month's revenue goals. Also watch that all open projects actually appear on the report. That when you add a project to Ajera, if the project start date is not added or is not added correctly, that project will not appear on the project backlog report until that start date is corrected. That when we do the closes for engineering firms, that we have a standalone query that we will run that lists all projects, and we will tie out this contract number, and we typically have to go in and touch a couple projects every month to make them appear on the report. This is a much bigger issue than Ajera itself, but Ajera runs 2 sets of books. So there's a project side of books and what I call the financial side of books. And sometimes this build number does not tie to the financial statements. That if invoices are adjusted, that this build number will be incorrect. And when that build number is incorrect, the backlog and months number is incorrect. So be very careful and watch exactly what build numbers the report is using. And then finally, I'm an accountant controller. I expect reports to stay the same in closed periods. So if we run a balance sheet for last June and we say that month is closed, that balance sheet should never move. This is a management report, and this report changes all the time. So if I came back and ran this exact same report again a year from now, a lot of these details would change. So any projects that are now closed would fall off the report. If contracts have been increased over the last year, that it will only report the current contract amount. Now just keep in mind that if you're looking at historical numbers, that even though the dates say a year ago, that these numbers are all, the contract amounts and the project statuses are all going to reflect the current values as of today. So If keeping detailed history is very important, kick this to a PDF during the monthly closing cycle. And with that, we have a quick introduction to the Ajera Backlog report. If you need any accounting help with your architecture or engineering firm, please give us a shout at AE Velocity. Thank you. Bye-bye.